How's it going, everybody? This is Seer here. As I was recording my Thunderbolts video, new promo code dropped, so I want to make sure to let you guys know. So go over to the Marvel Strike Force webpage, go to where the player gift portion is, and enter the code Intel Drop. This is going to get you 2 million gold and 20,000 Intel credits, so that is a lot of free resources that we're able to get. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the Thunderbolts team. So I ended up doing a video about everything to know for the Accursed, and people loved it. They loved the infographics for it as well. So we did end up doing one for the Thunderbolts. Now, as far as the Thunderbolts team, they're a really unique team because we were able to vote on pretty much every aspect of this team, from the reworks to the new characters joining, and even that unique character in Victoria Hand. Now, how good is this team? What ISOs do we want to use? T4s? What are their strengths and weaknesses? We're going to be talking about that for you guys. So for the first character we're going to be looking at is going to be Ghost. Ghost is actually a really good support character for the team in the Chaotic Storm raids. She provides turn meter rewinds. She does the ultimate where it does massive damage. It does the extension negative effects and percentile damage. And the specials able to be stealing positive effects, where it's going to be apply 2 negative effects and transfer 1 positive effect. So it's a very, very good support kit that she provides. But how good is this team and how good is she going to be outside? She has 113 speed, so that is kind of lacking in today's meta. The dodges and evades that she has, those aren't as impactful as they were when she first came out, because the meta shifted so much to where we have too many characters with unavoidable attacks. They can't really take advantage of those dodges, evades, and that's how the chi heals up. That was kind of what made her so incredible before. So the rework that she got was more stat-based than kit-based. Now, I don't want to kind of sleep on her too much because in raids, she's incredible as far as what she brings to the team. As far as ISOs goes, I really like her as a striker character because she's going to be doing that 25% speed bar reduction. So that's a 50% if you're able to do the basic and then get the ISO attack on there. So she's really good in that aspect, but outside, not as great. It's hard to find a good place for her to rest on because of that speed and the unavoidable attacks. Now, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be Taskmaster. Taskmaster has 120 speed, so that's kind of the bare minimum of what you want in today's meta. Just on how people in game have a lot of speed bar, increase on spawn, speed up, and everything. So 120 is okay-ish. I wish he got kind of a lift on the speed on there. However, in war, he still has the fill speed bar on spawn with the Underworld team, and I think that's where we're going to be looking at this character, is keeping him with the Underworld team, because the Underworld team in war is still a really good team, as even without having those new stats, as far as what they could end up taking out, and having one character that does those assists on every hit, that's really impactful. And I think that's what people were really voting on with Taskmaster when we did the poll, is he does all these assists with the Underworld team. Imagine that with a new team of Thunderbolts, and he didn't get that transition over. So I think that is hurting his rework and what people were really hoping for this character. Now, I think that Taskmaster is going to be the one character as far as lean on him until you get your other Thunderbolts worked up, whether that's more stars, more gear tier, because he's going to be the main damage dealer on the team until you're able to get like Songbird or other characters worked up to where he's not going to be the carry for you guys. That is going to be something bright for him. Now, as far as T4s goes, I really like his ultimate and his passive, and that's really all you need. He doesn't need the T4s on the basic or special, so he doesn't require a lot of T4s, which is really cool. As far as ISOs go, I really like him as a raider. He doesn't need the extra focus boost and just doing that big AoE hit, get all those vulnerables out there and the crits, because that ultimate is at 300% damage, it applies bleeds, and then it does a bonus attack. So that's a lot of vulnerables you could end up putting out there. Now, as far as Victoria Hand goes, Victoria Hand is really unique. She's able to use that charge mechanic, and that's how she's going to be healing the team. And inside of the full team, she's able to do a health decay reduction, which is really cool. That way she's able to keep the heals going on this team. However, I think the main thing that we want to look at with Victoria Hand are the tags. She has that shield tag, and that's the thing that's going to be the long-lasting effect of what Victoria Hand is. Outside of raids, she's really not great because you need the full team, but the full team isn't really performing how we thought they would, which we're going to be talking about that later. So I'm looking at her tags for shield. If we look in game, we have Nick Fury, we have Mockingbird, we have Black Widow. There's a lot of shield characters out there, even Agent Coulson, where you can take advantage of the shield tag, and that's going to be giving her extra life anytime there's a shield character joining the game or getting reworked. She's going to get an extra bump because she's able to provide barrier on spawn. She's able to heal those characters through passive healing. She does really good damage because she's got 24th damage stat as a support character. That's actually really good. So look to Victoria Hand as a shield character than a Thunderbolt character. Now, as far as the ISO goes on her, I really like her as that striker. The striker is going to be giving that +1 charge, and if she runs out of charges, that means you run out of the passive healing, and that's basically going to kind of shut her kit down. So do look to use her as a striker character. Now we have Songbird. Songbird is an amazing character. She's one of my new favorite characters in this game, honestly. 132 speed, turn 1 ult, where it's going to be flipping all positive effects into negative effects. You don't need any gimmick where you need like a full team. You don't need an exposed out on the other side of the field. Just 132, flip everything, you're good to go. Pair her with somebody like an Apocalypse or an Ares to get the safeguard off, and you're flipping taunts off of like a Black Knight, basically, because how good she is. She gets an extra 500% focus on that as well, which is incredible. Now, as far as what else she provides, if we end up looking at the raid portion, she's going to be doing safeguard, trauma. She has turn meter rewinds, which I do want to talk about the ultimate ability because there's a lot of confusion on how the turn meter rewind works for her. So she's going to be doing 350% damage. She's going to be flipping positive effects into negative effects. That's going to have a 500% focus that it cannot be blocked as well. In raids, reduce the speed bar by 50% for all enemies with any positive effects. That means after the damage and the flips, if any characters still have positive effects on them, then it's going to do the turn meter rewind. So realistically, you're looking at any characters that have safeguard in raids are going to be getting the turn meter rewind. And I know there's a lot of confusion about that because they see it as they started with positive effects. It's, do they have positive effects after the flip? It's how you would really want to end up going about this. Now, as far as ISOs go for Songbird, I really like her as that raider character. She doesn't need the skirmisher for the extra focus. The striker is okay, but she's going at 132. You want to set the tone. You want to get those vulnerables out there early. That way, your striker characters can take advantage of those the ISO attacks on her. Now, as far as what else she ends up providing, apply 2 disrupt on turn, and it's really the 132 speed, right? I mean, that's what we're looking at. Turn 1 ability, flip everything. Unlimited potential for what we could do with plug and play features for her. Now let's go ahead and talk about Hyperion. Hyperion, I think people are kind of sleeping on him a little bit because we don't have those diamonds on him. I think he's going to be scaling incredibly well. He's going to be that protector, and on spawn, he's getting defense up for 2 turns to all allies, not just Thunderbolts, not just in raids, everywhere. Defense up for 2 turns is very impactful, and he's going to be having safeguard for himself and all Thunderbolt allies. So he's going to be spawning in with 2 defense ups and safeguard. Think of the possibilities what you can use with a plug and play character of that kind of level. So that's what I'm really looking at with him. His special is a very short cooldown of 3 turns to where he's going to be getting taunt. And there's actually something in game I want to bring to your attention is in game when you go from the T3 to the T4, it doesn't mention anywhere on there that the reduction of taunt goes from 1 to 2. So I think people are kind of sleeping on that T4, because when you get the T4 on there, he does end up reducing taunt for 2 turns to primary and adjacent with that special. You do need the full team for that to happen, so do take that into consideration. But in raids, that is very important for you to be able to get off those taunts so you can start getting on other characters. As far as his ultimate ability goes, this has a 30% speed bar reduction to the primary target. That is incredibly powerful as well. So I do see a lot of plug and play use for this character. And as far as ISO selection goes, I really like him as a striker, but I can see in certain cases or at lower stars where you want to use him as that fortifier, because you want to make sure he ends up surviving. So do take that into consideration. As with the striker, if you end up going that route, he's going to be doing an attack, apply bleed, heal for 5%. Then he's going to bonus attack and heal. And then the ISO attack is going to heal as well. So I really like him as that striker character. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the team infographic on here. As far as positioning goes, you want Hyperion on the one bookend. Ghost has those dodges and evades, so you want Ghost adjacent to Hyperion. And then you kind of want that heal or Victory Hand all the way on the opposite side. Songbird and Taskmaster can kind of be interchangeable, I think. Considering the AI likes to hit the middle character, I like to keep Songbird more protected as far as that goes. Now, as far as the build priority, Songbird's going to be your most important character because she's going to have the longest life because of that 132 speed and the flips that we were talking about. I do think Hyperion's going to be number 2 because he's going to be that protector. You want to make sure he's able to survive. And then Taskmaster's going to be number 3 because he has he has viability in war with the Underworld team. That's where we really want to try to stick him, is keep him with the Underworld team unless you don't have Underworld built up. Then you can maybe try to finagle him with the Thunderbolt characters and use them that way. But Songbird, I do think is going to be pulled off because she is already making waves in multiple game modes as far as what she could end up providing to the team. Now, if we end up taking a look at these strengths, what strengths do the Thunderbolts have? They're going to be that bio raid team for the Chaotic Storm raids. So that means they're going to be surviving this iteration of the raids and the next iteration of the raids, because usually whenever teams come out during that raid, they survive that raid, and the following wave is when they start to kind of fall off a little bit. Then we get the new team coming out, which is what happened with the skill team with the Vigilante and the bio team with the Thunderbolts portion. Now, as far as control mechanics for Ghost, she has that speed bar reduction, extending negative effects while doing that percentile damage, and that also doesn't end up triggering passive effects, which is pretty important. Taskmaster does have a lot of control effects where he's able to be doing stuns, blinds, heal blocks, and offense down. And support mechanics for Victory Hand. She's able to do the passive healing for the Thunderbolts team. Now, that is based on the charges, and with the full team, she's able to decay the heal block even through trauma. She does provide the ability energy for the team in raids as well, so she is very important when it comes to the raids itself. Now, Songbird, she does have a lot of control mechanics that she does provide for this team. She's able to clear positive effects from enemies, negative effects from allies. She does the speed bar reduction. She flips positive effects into negative effects. She does also decay defense up, which I think people forget about for her as well. Now, Thunderbolt allies cannot gain ability block or trauma until she takes a turn. She is a very vital character for the Thunderbolts team. And if we look at Hyperion, he's able to decay, or he's able to apply taunt to self on a very short cooldown. He decays taunt, and he has speed bar reduction, and on spawn he provides defense up and safeguard to all Thunderbolt allies. Now, as far as the weaknesses, this team obviously has weaknesses because they're not really performing how we thought they would or should outside of the raids, because on paper this team is amazing for what they actually provide. Now, the Thunderbolts, they do require all 5 members to unlock their full potential outside of raids. There's a lot of things in their kits that's so important that's locked behind the full team, such as Victory Hand reducing the duration of heal block by 2, Songbird's ultimate applying trauma for 2 turns, that needs to have the full team as well. Thunderbolt allies receive ability block or trauma until Songbird takes a turn. So that does a lot of protection. Even though she's 132 speed, there's going to be certain cases where there could be an opponent that you go in against where they have like turn meter on spawn, speed up, and they're able to go before Songbird. Because the team doesn't have speed up on spawn, they basically get turn meter when Hyperion gets hit. Which Hyperion reducing the duration of taunt or primary and adjacent by 2. You need the full team for that. And Hyperion feeling that speed bar, which is something I mentioned as well. Now, when using the full team outside of raids, the team is only capable of defeating mid-tier teams. Basically, anything that is a cookie cutter team, like a full Night Stalker team, a full Orcus team, they can beat Alpha Flight. But the moment you kind of throw a curveball in there with a lifter character or a plug and play character, the team really struggles for trying to beat that team, which is really weird that one lifter character in a team just shuts down what this team can kind of do. It's interesting on how those mechanics could kind of happen. So where do we want to use this team? Songbird, anytime in war, if you see a Professor Xavier character, Songbird's going to be a big counter into that. So keeping Songbird as an offensive tool to take out Professor X, whether that's going to be in War or Cosmic Crucible, she's going to be 100% vital in trying to accomplish that for you. Taskmaster, you want to kind of keep him with the Underworld team. Victoria Hand, as I mentioned, look for shield character tags or any shield characters that could potentially get a rework. So I kind of had Mockingbird on there, but you can look at so many other characters. So try to keep your eye out for that in the future. You can get a lot of use out of her there. Now, as far as Hyperion goes, current teams that you can kind of use them with, the Liberty team, if you never worked up War Machine, because he always gets benched. So I know a lot of people kind of used or saved their resources and didn't build up War Machine. I think he could be a good plug and play tool for the Liberty team, because Liberty, they'll only get 1 defense up as soon as somebody takes a turn. So this will get them 2 turns of defense up. Night Stalkers, if you end up taking out Moon Knight, maybe you didn't work him up because you basically use Mephisto in those raids, so you might have saved resources not working up Moon Knight. So Hyperion can kind of slot into the Night Stalkers as well. I think it could also be a good power duo with Quasar. So Quasar, he does immunity to the entire team, making it to where you have 2 turns of defense up immunity. I think that could be something they can really toy around with as well. Unfortunately, Ghost is going to be left behind. I couldn't really find any good use for Ghost. I was looking at the Orcus team, if you took somebody off there, having it to where that tech character, but Ghost is so slow at 113 speed, and she wouldn't be getting the speed up or anything. So I couldn't really find a good use for Ghost. So overall, the Thunderbolts team is interesting. We do need to build them up, but I think you can kind of save some of your resources by just getting them big enough to accomplish what you need in the bio section of the chaotic raids. You definitely can take Songbird all the way to the moon. Taskmaster, he's going to be your carry until you get your other Thunderbolt characters kind of worked up a little bit. Victoria Hand, you do want to make sure that she's big enough where she can survive the raids, but outside of the raids, it's really hard to find a good use for the team without really splitting them up. The main value of this team is split them up, use Songbird in every single game mode that you can, because she is an amazing character. I know this probably isn't what you guys were hoping for, as far as, hey, this team can actually beat these type of things. They're a mid-tier team that can take out mid-tier teams as well. And anytime you get lifters kind of thrown into the mix, they kind of struggle. But Songbird taking out Professor X, that's going to be the key for you guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.